the unexpected, expect nothing, appreciate everything. And let me just go over quickly. How many of you probably already have an idea of what an expectation is? Okay, and they can work for us and they can work against us. If we're attached to an expectation, then chances are we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, okay? And expectation can be limiting if we say it's got conditions and attachments to it, and it can come from a lack or fear consciousness at times, okay? This is, again, about you being really clear about who and what you're about and what you hold to be true for you. Your relationship with the God of your understanding. Expectancy, that's what I think of when I think of unity principles. Presence and power in, around, and through all things. This abundant flow of life itself, of creation. And if you say yes, principle number 2, that's me, I am that expression, there's a wonderful energy, and I'm feeling it right now. I call them God bumps, whatever you want to call it, that reminds me in the sensory physical experience of me this morning that I am that very thing. And that's pretty amazing. And that also brings the message inherently, that's a prosperous abundance, born out of love and joy and peace, and those frequencies, the energy of a consciousness that is higher than lack, limitation, guilt, shame, fear, and all of those that we all experience in our human journey. So in a nutshell, that's basically what it is. And I shared some personal experiences around my disappointments and such, and you know, I like to personalize things here. I might like to make them relatable. But before I go any further, you might notice this sitting here on the podium this morning. I went to my favorite animal rescue thrift store, and I walk in, I'm just looking around. All of a sudden, it was almost like this beam just shot out from this little canister. And when I got closer, I could actually read it. It says, yeah, and readers, I can do more than you can imagine. Love God. Inspired by Ephesians 3, verse 20. I can do more than you can imagine. That to me is truly, if there ever was an example of this amazing power and presence, creation, that is so benevolent, that is so ineffable, no words for it, that our recognition of that as our nature, our divine nature, that can open us up, it can help us heal, it can do all kinds of things, and it can help us deal with what? Disappointments. It can help us deal with those moments when perhaps we're aware, yeah, I had an expectation about something. And it doesn't mean that I was wrong in having the expectation. It was simply my awareness that I had it, and this didn't unfold in the way that I desired for it to unfold. Now what do I do with it? Okay? And perhaps some of you, all of you, I don't know, already have ways in which you deal with disappointment. Maybe you throw a tantrum. Maybe you go WTF, like I shared a couple weeks ago. And we're going to take that WTF and we're going to use it a little differently this morning, just so you know. You can have all kinds of reactions or responses. Big difference. Reaction is more like a knee-jerk reaction. Response is you are response-able, right? And you're taking responsibility for owning what's happening in that moment of your hit in the gut or whatever it may be, and go, oh, okay, now what do I do with this? So what do we do? So let's take a look for a moment at Jesus, the master teacher. How do you think he handled disappointment? If you just kind of sit with that for a minute, in your mind, maybe you've looked at that at times. Well, wow, WWJD, what would Jesus do? What did Jesus do? And I go, WWJD, what would Jeanie do? In this situation, I go, yeah. So you ask yourself that question. my God, why have you forsaken me? Matthew 27:46. What do you think was happening with Jesus in that moment? You think perhaps because we're taught that, he wasn't the exception. He was the example, right? So if he's feeling if he's a spiritual being having his human experience, perhaps it might follow, my God, how, why have you forsaken me? Do you think in that moment, maybe Jesus felt like a victim, life was happening to him? Perhaps. Or was there a part of him that went deeper and more expansive than just his human experience? To where maybe in that moment he recognized, yes, I'm having a human moment, and in this moment, it's an opportunity for me to integrate thy will and my will, and to open myself to accepting, not meaning I have to like it. Acceptance is a very powerful tool. I can accept this situation in this moment. Doesn't mean I have to like it, but as soon as I say yes to it, I accept it as it is, what it is, just as it is, I've opened myself up for divine inspiration and guidance and intuition and all of those things to pour through me even more fully than if I go, no, I don't accept this. I resist it, I push it away. All your energy goes into that fight and into that battle, rather than finding yourself saying, I surrender to this. I am willing. Willingness on the consciousness scale measures right around 310. Acceptance is just a little higher. Because when we are willing, in fact, will is one of the 12 powers in unity. But instead of saying where there's a will, there is a way, I like to say where there's willingness, there is a way. Okay? To the degree, 3 important words, very powerful. To the degree that I am willing to see this situation differently, to experience it through my divine self, and to know that, yes, I'm in this human expression, but like Jesus, okay, I commit my will to thy will. I let it go. I let go of any idea, attachment, anything that this outcome has to be a certain way. I can do more than you can imagine. Yeah? Right in there. So if we are willing and open and allowing, miracles unfold moment by moment. Because the miracle is us, individually, collectively, as the divine is expressing through each one of us. How could it be any other way? If you try to do it all on your own, anybody know what that feels like and looks like? Okay. Yeah, I get you. I hear you. Another demonstration of Jesus and what I love to call a holy shift in consciousness. And I appreciate Danny because I asked him specifically for metaphysical interpretations because I don't have the unity metaphysical referencing, languaging, and all of that. When you Google it, it's like Google is clueless about that most of the time. I'm like, wow, I found something Google doesn't even know. Anyway, but from the Fillmore Study Bible, Charles Fillmore, for those of you who are not familiar with Myrtle and Charles, from Matthew 26:39, and Jesus here. And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me." It's like, no, please, let this somebody else, not me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. And not you and separate, because God, unless that's what you believe is separate from you, I'm not telling you not to believe that, but I'm inviting you maybe to take another look at it perhaps, because that to me is that separation. And in that place of separation is where when life happens and we're trying to figure out how to do it, The solutions, they're already there. But I've got to step aside as we hear, get out of my own way, and open myself to this divine flow of love. Because there is only love, yeah? You all sang it this morning. So when I step out of the way and I allow that to start happening, and you're going, okay, yeah, I'm doing better with this. Do you find yourself wanting to go right back in there and go, I don't know if I trust God with this one. I'm just not so sure. Because the relationship I have with God, well, we haven't spent a whole lot of time together, quality time together lately, right? Okay? And so where is that relationship that you have with God? Already talked about the W, the WTF, the T, trust. Where are you putting your trust? If anywhere. Do you even have any trust? I don't know. It's something to take a look at. And I'm all about the inner work. And in unity, we talk about, things we can know and all of that, but that fifth principle, if I'm not doing it and applying it to my life, is it of any value? Oh, yeah, well, I know that. Yeah, and I know that, and I can recite all these things left and right, upside and inside and everywhere. But if I get really honest with myself, am I walking that talk? Am I walking the things that I say I believe in? What am I putting my trust in? Because when you look in the world out there right now, people are going, I don't even know what to believe in anymore. I think I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Where is the God? Where could God possibly be in the middle of all of this? Right? Earlier we were talking about the illusion. Because on the outward appearance, anything but when I look through my human eyes. Again, it's my choice. I get to embrace whatever perspective I decide on. That I'm in control of. Whoa! Jeanie just told us there is something we can do to be in control of something, right? Right? We go, I have no control over anything. I go, yeah, yes you do. Oh, yes you do. The ticket is, you got to know what's going on in here, right? So I am going to do a third talk because I just have that awareness putting this talk together. Because the third talk is going to be about your OS, so you'll know about your BS. Operating system, so the BS, the belief system that's coming from that. So that's going to be the third talk because I've shared things with you last time. I'm sharing them with you this morning. What can you do? What can we do? What did Jesus do? The third talk is going to be, how do you create this for you, uniquely for you? Okay? So there's no cookie cutter approach to it. There are some foundational pieces to it, absolutely. And I'm sharing some of those with you this morning about surrender. And happy equinox, yeah. Thank goodness the season is here, although 92 degrees today doesn't quite feel like it to me, but that's okay because that's an illusion, right? Let's go do a cold plunge and pretend we're in Maine, right, Dawn? Yeah, let's just do that. Bottom line is we get to create it again any way we want. We really, really do. We were talking about, I'll share another personal story because I was laughing about it this morning. Because I have W and the T and faith, okay? So I'm going to integrate my little thing here. I was driving up here this morning, I've just got to share this. Because, life's going on in the last few years. We had COVID, we've had political stuff, and you know what? All that stuff's still kind of going on, right? Just looks a little different. Well, I was renting a house since 2014, okay? And here it was 2021. And 2021, COVID-21 and yada, yada. And the people that I knew, my landlords, were also friends for more years in the house that I'd been renting. And they just up one day and said, Jeanie, you know what? We want to move back into that house. Yeah. I couldn't even catch a breath. Okay. And even funnier, well, we were going to move back into that house. I said, yes. They have this really big house where they're living in now. Well, things happened during COVID that were just not even about COVID, but, it brought out all kinds of stuff. The good, the bad, and the ugly, you name it, whatever labels. But they said, but it's an ideal time because we can make X number of dollars on our home because real estate's gone crazy. Everybody's gone crazy, and we want to take advantage of it. All right? So over here, part of me is going, I get it. I don't get it. Okay. And needless to say, I said, well, I'm going to need at least 6 months. Do you realize what's happened since COVID? It's hard to find a place to live, yada, yada, yada. And they go, well, we can give you 3. And I went, again, I'm like, WTF, times infinity. There was no willingness, trust, or faith. In that moment, I thought, you have got to be freaking kidding me. Did I feel like a victim? You better believe I did. Did I wallow in it for a long time? No. I've spent a lot of time doing that already. But I gave myself permission to do that. Because what? Spiritual being, human experience. We have emotions just like Jesus did. No exception. I was like, okay. Long story short, because there are so many details I could go into about, disappointment, opportunity for growth. Here's another opportunity. Everything happens for a reason. Yada, yada, yada. Ad nauseum. Right? I'm like, let's have some get real spirituality. The heck with all that stuff. Anyway. So that was in spring of 21. I moved in July of 21. It was very difficult to find anywhere to live that I was able to afford. So I ended up renting a downstairs room kind of scenario, bathroom and such. And I thought, okay, this will be temporary, but this will do because I've got to be out by whatever. Oh, and I had just had a hysterectomy about 6 months prior. So the physical part of doing stuff, how it's just like, come on, just lay it all out there. Come on, here's some more. Here's some more. Here's some more, right? You got this. Okay. Anyway, so I moved. It was an acquaintance of mine. Okay, not somebody I really knew. OMG. 7 months later, I'm moving again. Was this person wouldn't know a boundary if it bit them, in the derriere. Okay? And I thought, no, this is about respect. This is about whatever. I thought, I can't do this. So another situation presented itself with some folks I knew in the Unity community. Anyway, so I had an opportunity to rent a 2-room, efficiency, nice setup, kitchen and all that, because the other one didn't have a kitchen. So I'm like, great, and they were anxious, and that was great. So I move in, and we're going to be here another 2 or 3 years until our granddaughter graduates high school. 3 months later, Jeanie, we need to talk to you. I'm like, we've changed our mind. We've decided to rent the whole house because we're going to go do this because we have a chance to sell whatever because it's the COVID thing. And I just went, really? Okay. So that was February of 22, right? And I'm like, okay. 7 months later, something about 7. I'm like going, okay, whoever does neurology, forget number 7. I liked it before, but I don't. 7 months in the one place. I was 7 years in the house, 7 months in one place, 7 months in another. Okay, you got to move again. So I'm celebrating 2 years right now of where I've been living. that I moved to. Yes. I rent a couple of rooms from a friend of mine, and the bottom line is, wow. But the thing is, in retrospect, yeah, I can come up with, this happened for that reason and that happened for that reason. But I don't know about you all, but sometimes I get weary with that stuff. Yeah. True confessions. Yeah, I'm not some spiritual whatever, like, oh yeah, I was fine. No. So when you can be honest with yourself and get real, then the work we're going to talk about in a couple weeks, that's when the rubber meets the road. Am I willing to get real? Because that pushed me, to the edge of like, what do I really believe in here? Is it only situational? What do I really believe in? Is it hard? Oh yeah, excuse me. It's really hard right now. So what do I do with all of that? That's what I'm really going to focus on in a couple weeks. But I'm sharing this with you now because I get it. And there's a lot of that going on out there. People are like desperate, feeling like, oh my gosh, the bottom's falling out. Because I wanted to feel safe where I was. And I know people aren't feeling safe right now at all. So I not had to, but I was presented with the opportunity to really step back and look at the bigger picture, but also to dive deeper into what I truly believed and to clear out, really let go of anything that was mucking up what I know to be true in here and in here, but right in here in my heart. But that's my journey. So for each of us, we're on that journey to look at our disappointments, to look at the expectations that we have and say, do I feel like a victim? Okay? Or do I feel like a victor? And where is my faith? So when those moments happen, you can truly go WTF, and you can mean it in a different way. And when you mean it the other way too, I don't really care. What I'm saying is, stop yourself and pause. Be still and know. Hello, right? Be still and know. So what are your personal practices? Next time will be practice, practice, practice. And I mean that in different ways. What is your practice or practices? And in order for us to rewire circuits, that's all science is proven, and beliefs, thoughts, etc., it does require work. And oftentimes, we're not willing to do this. Roll up our sleeves, get down to the nitty-gritty, and do the work, and let it be a labor of love. Yeah. And a privilege to say, you know what, I really do have a golden opportunity here that God, the universe, has presented to me. And I have free will. I can surrender my will to thy will, but I still have choice. Yes? Even though sometimes it may not seem like it or feel like it, but I do, ultimately. I can create this any way I choose. And what is so delicious is when I say, oh, I'm opening to divine guidance with this. I'm choosing not to do this on my own. Been there, done that. Don't want to go that route again. I said delicious. I guess my food reference just popped in somehow, right? I always think of life as a buffet, seriously. And you get to pick and choose what you're putting on your plate to nourish you. It's always your choice, always. And then you get to have fun in the midst of it all as you're creating all these cool things, right? In Isaiah 55, 8, 9, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, Neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. God has an unlimited perspective, unlike what we often have in our human experience. So integrating, embodying, that's what Jesus was. That's what he taught us. That's what he exampled. And especially in the midst of his humanity, to say, hey, it's okay. And to know that, this quote I know from junior high, I'm not sure where, probably that Baptist stuff I was in at the time, but it's a great one. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ, the Christ consciousness that strengthens me. We can. And with everything that lies before us, even when you leave this place today, everything that lies before us individually, in this community here, throughout the world, what lies before us is pretty much uncharted territory. It always is, but even more so now than ever. I think I said last time too, it's not like this world has not ever been in a similar situation before. Absolutely it has. Just ideally, are we more spiritually mature and wise to navigate it differently? Are we willing to say, I think I know how to do this, but I'm going to step over here and be open like beginner mind. Be like children, yes? So I don't think I know it all, and I'm some authority on whatever. That I'm always willing to enter into each moment, each challenge, and say, what is mine to learn here? What is mine to do? And to offer those words from a place of, I'm grateful in advance for this opportunity. And if the words I'm saying to you right now, if you find yourself challenged to utter some of these words, well, that's just a bunch of hokey pokey and malarkey, Jeanie. I can't say that and really feel it. I go, that's okay. Where I stand here today, in this moment, this is what I know. 5 minutes from now, I may not know any of it. But in this moment, that's what I know to be true for me. And I do my best, and I encourage all of you, to expand and deepen your relationship with you, is you got to know you. You got to know how you try to get away with stuff and how you sabotage stuff, how you get in your own way. Sometimes you go, you said that, but you don't really mean it. All that stuff we do. And to embrace all those parts of you with open arms. Compassion, gentleness, kindness, and let that relationship continue to grow and flourish because you're offering it exactly what it needs. You breathe into it, and you allow God to breathe in you, as you, through you, so that relationship flourishes, and you are one. You are one. And the doubts, the moments of uncertainty, all of those can be stepping stones. And after a while you go, that victim consciousness stuff, the to me thing, that's not so much in my experience anymore. I think I'm on top of the mountain now. Yeah. And it's been a hell of a journey getting here. But you know what? I can see now through those divine eyes. Imagine I've got my heart glasses on this morning, right? And I can see through those eyes of love and know that all is truly well. All is truly well. And I want to close with just one little thing here. However you say this name, I always go, Anais Nin. Is that right, Cindy? I always want to give it some other pronunciation. Wonderful quote that says, I walk ahead of myself in perpetual expectancy of miracles. Right? I walk ahead of myself in perpetual expectancy of miracles. Wow. Breathe that in as Dawn begins to lead us into some meditation. Thank you.